Now, what are the causative agents? Normally, fungal ulcer is caused by either filamentous fungi, which is Aspergillum or Fusarium, or the yeast-like are the Candida. Now, what are the modes of infection? Usually by injury with a vegetative matter. Now, it can be a leaf, it can be the corner of a leaf, or it can be hay or a tree branch, decaying vegetable matter. It can be any of these, or it can be injury with the animal, some cow's tail, there have been injuries, or with other animal's paw or something. So when you take a history, if there is a corneal ulcer, just ignore that window. They are latecomers, we will not look at them. Okay, so it can be vegetative matter like we just discussed. Now, whenever there is a corneal ulcer, we always take a history. We ask them, कि क्या हुआ था? Stop it, go away. I wish we could do that for our negative feelings, go away. Negative feelings होती है ना हमेशा. 80,000 thoughts in a day, Did you know this? All of us, suno. The whole day, all of us, it's very normal to have 80,000 thoughts in a day, out of which 80% are negative. So let us learn to say go away to them. Okay? Learn to say go away to your negative thoughts. The best thing is, whatever negative thought you are having about self-doubt or anything else, you just आप दोनों खड़े हो जाओ, तीनों खड़े हो जाओ. क्लास चल रही है ना यहाँ, खड़े हो जाओ. अब खड़े ही रहना आज. So negative thoughts, go away. How can you make them go away? If you focus on the present moment of all the things, good things that you have. If you think, मेरा नाक बहुत मोटा है, something I'm dark in, whatever, all those negative thoughts, उसने मेरे को देख के smile नहीं किया, whatever. So what I'm trying to say is that at that time, you think of all the good things that you have. Everything. Have gratitude. Okay. Now, like we said, modes of. Now, what are secondary? Now, these are that primary. We talked about the infection with vegetative matter, and now we are talking about secondary ulcers, which can take place even if there may be no injury, but if a person is immune suppressed. If the person's eye, it's a dry eye. We talked about the dry eye. And then patients with herpetic keratitis. Those patients who already have a herpetic infection. See, whenever there is, we'll be talking about viral ulcers. Whenever there is a herpetic infection, आप दोनों पीछे ये जो है ना, आप दोनों खड़े हो जाओ. Both of you. Yes, you too. Yes, madam. You also. आप बस खड़े रहो अब इधर. So these, when there is herpetic infection, the eye is compromised because the nerve is affected. It is there is corneal anesthesia. So that becomes a compromised eye. Now there is a condition called bullous keratopathy. See, now the thing is, now this, if it goes on, I'll have to go and say something to them, but I'm trying to avoid. Manners bhi kuch hote hain. If you come late in the class, you can't just keep knocking like that. This is something disgraceful. Okay. So what is bullous keratopathy? Just write down the name. of this term. आप खड़े हो जाओ. Yes, you know who I am pointing to. Yes, please. Yes, खड़े रहो. So bullous keratopathy. Now this is a term which you are going to hear off and on again and again, and you may have a short note on it. You must know about it and read about it, and you will, whenever it is taught, pay attention to it. Now bullous keratopathy, I will talk about it. I have talked about it a little. When the endothelium is damaged, the corneal endothelium, like we talked about, is important for maintaining the detergescence of the cornea. उधर कोने में ये three of you, ठीक है. See, it is not about me. I can, stop the class and look at everything, but I don't want to do that. I just want to instill some discipline. When somebody is taking a class, there is effort involved, and the desire is to pass on some knowledge. My desire is not to, suppress you or oppress you or anything. Okay, you are fine. You are grown-up adults. You don't want to learn? Don't learn. Then don't come. फिर attendance के पीछे यहाँ आके औरों को disturb करो, that is not good. Okay? So please get that into your head. करने को मैं सारी क्लास में पढ़ाऊँ ही नहीं और मैं देखती रहूँ कौन. I don't want to do that. I want to teach. There is again still murmuring going on, but please don't do that. मुश्किल से 40 मिनट की क्लास होती है, उसमें just pay attention. Then you have the whole day to yourself. Do what you like. Okay. So bullous keratopathy, like we were talking about, is corneal edema is there because the endothelium is compromised for whatever reason, and the fluid from the cornea cannot be pushed out, and so it collects below the epithelium and forms bulli. These bulli, when they rupture, then they produce what is called corneal ulcer. There's a discontinuity in the corneal epithelium, and that itself makes the cornea vulnerable to infection. So these are the, this is a very important topic. I just want you to understand what are these elements that make the cornea compromised. So you've understood, I hope. Okay, now what is the role of antibiotics and steroids? So when, sometimes for a long time somebody is instilling antibiotics. Some doctor had said use it for 3 days, but he kept on using it. Long-term antibiotics disturbs the symbiosis and between the bacteria and locally also we have commensals in the conjunctival sac. Now all of you sit down and please don't let me catch you again. और कोई किसी को खड़ा होना है तो I can pause and we can do that. So these antibiotics can disturb the symbiosis between the bacteria and the normal fungi that are there in the conjunctival sac. Now steroids. It's a very sad thing that steroids are misused. Steroids have their role, like you will understand in medicine when you are posted and all those branches. In the eye also, there are certain conditions where we have to use steroids, but there are other conditions where steroids are an absolute no-no. But the problem is that what happens, the combination of steroid and antibiotic drops available in the market is very cheap. The cost is very low, and so anybody who in the villages or anywhere else in the city also has a redness in the eye, he goes to the chemist, ये एक दवाई दे दो इस लाल आंख के लिए, तो वो उसको steroid पकड़ा देते. Or some other, say general practitioner or some other who are not so aware, ophthalmologists also may prescribe steroids when they are not actually needed. For allergy, for example, we do not like to prescribe steroids unless absolutely necessary. Though when you put, if there's a person who has got allergic conjunctivitis and uses steroid drops, immediately he gets the relief. He or she gets a relief. But it's damaging in the long run. There are a lot of effects of long-term use of steroids. One of them is that your eye becomes prone to fungal infections. It does two things. It not only makes the eye prone to infection, it makes the fungus stronger in the sense that the spores of the fungus in the eye, they start multiplying. They lose their sheath and they become active. So it has a double negative role. And the second thing is that if steroids are used for a very, very long time, say more than 3 weeks, then the person can get glaucoma. So these three effects you must ingrain in your head, because even if you don't become ophthalmologist, even if you become some, you do your post-graduation in medicine or surgery or whatever, and you get a patient, please never ever prescribe steroids. If the person has a red eye, refer to an ophthalmologist, because it's very devastating. Okay, so this point I want you all to understand that steroids have a role. It's a double-edged sword and should only be used when required and only for that small period of time. Now, what are the clinical features of a fungal corneal ulcer? The patient will first have a foreign body sensation. It's a very mild sensation to begin with, and then a slow onset increasing pain, and then the clinical signs and symptoms start appearing. The cornea, by the time it comes to this stage, he may start noticing the whiteness in the cornea, but even before that, if he goes to a proper clinic or to a proper ophthalmologist, and if at that stage he goes to a private practitioner who does not know much about the eye, who may prescribe steroids, that would be devastating. So it's very important, whenever there is a foreign body in the eye, if it is removed, it should be removed in a sterile way. And whenever after it has been removed, depending upon the history, if it is because of a vegetative material, if it is a leaf or something what we just talked about, then we have to start antifungal treatment, because we expect it to have a fungal infection. But steroids are a no-no, and so at that time, if you cannot understand, if the cornea, if you are not an ophthalmologist, at least don't start steroids, just refer the patient. If the patient has redness, pain, lacrimation, photophobia, these are the 4 signs of a corneal ulcer. Redness, pain, photophobia, there may be blepharospasm, and just plain conjunctivitis also patient may have these symptoms. But to be on the safe side, you just don't treat such a patient. You may start a preliminary, you can start a plain antibiotic drop and then refer the patient. Now, what does a fungal ulcer look like? It's a very dry looking ulcer. On breads, if you have seen mold on bread, it's a very dry looking, fluffy, whitish. If you leave the bread for some time outside the refrigerator, say for 7 to 10 days, you'll see something very dry looking. So that's the kind of look that comes onto the cornea. It's grayish, white. It may have elevated margins. The feathery margins is a very important sign. It's got to see here, you see the feathery margins here. And then there are something which are called satellite lesions. Moon is a satellite of the Earth, and so if this is the main ulcer, there may be a small ulcer over here, like if you can see very faintly something here. These are called satellite lesions. Then there's something called a Vesali's immune ring. Now this is not shown in this picture, but that ring, there's a ring around the ulcer. There's a clear space between that ring and the ulcer. This ring is an immune ring. So that also is one of the signs of a fungal ulcer. And then hypopyon, that we've just seen. We just talked about. Here it is. See, these are satellite lesions. You see this? This is a satellite lesion. This is a hypopyon. And this is dry looking fluffy white. Here also, here you see the feathery margins. And here this is what is called a Vesely's immune ring. So you see that there is a clear area between this ring and the lesion. Here again you can see here very clearly the Vesely's immune ring. And then feathery borders we were talking about. Here's this image showing feathery borders. And then there may be due to dermatitis fungi. If the infection is due to dermatitis fungi, then it becomes pigmented. And this is what it may look like. Now, Canthamoeba keratitis is again something very different. We'll talk about it some. I'll just mention a line here. You must know about it. If any of you are using contact lenses, you have to be very careful about the solution that you use. And if you cannot swim with the contact lenses on, and then with that, the infection that normally happens with that is what is called an Acanthamoeba keratitis, and that's usually very severe, and this is how it looks like. Then there are other lot of other organisms. We need not go into those. Now the diagnosis. How do you diagnose a fungal corneal ulcer? The first thing is the history of injury with organic matter, which we just talked about. And then the person may be getting just antibiotic treatment. The ulcer worsens despite that plain antibiotic treatment. So what are the lab investigations? What you can do is take a scraping from the ulcer. You do a gram stain or a Giemsa stain. Then another thing is the KOH wet mount. It's a very important and very easy to do. You just take a scraping, put on the slide KOH. A lot of people are busy with their mobile phones, but all I want to say is that it's not my loss, it is your loss. Because when you read from the book, there's so much material, you don't know what is important and what is not. What is taught here in class is the exact points that you must know. So it's all right. You can be busy with your phones. Exam to tum sabko hi dena hai. So then you will realize what you lost. So you can do a gram stain and you will see hyphae. See, the proof of the pudding is in eating. So if you see, you take a scraping, put a KOH, drop of KOH, put a little bit of the scraping on the slide and put the cover slip, and under the microscope if you see even one hyphae, you are 100% sure that this is a fungal infection. So that's why it's very important. We often do it in the OPD, and it's very rewarding to be able to diagnose it like that. It's a very easy test. And of course there are others like fluorescent microscopy, calcofluor white stains and all. But the first two are the most important. And the third, of course, the fourth, the culture medium. This is very, very important. We take the scraping and put it on Sabrod's medium. And Sabrod's dextrose agar. And but the result comes after 1 week. So that's why I said KOH mount is very important. Immediately in 10 minutes you know that this is a fungal ulcer. You can wait for the results of the culture, and then you know which specific fungus it is. Then you will know whether it is Aspergillus or Fumigatus or whatever. But at least you can start with a broad spectrum antifungal treatment as soon as you have done the KOH smear. This culture medium will come after 1 week. So by then it may be too late if you are going to wait for that. So there is something else which is called a confocal microscope. Confocal microscope is one in which the patient, you don't take out any scraping. You just examine the patient's eye with the microscope, and you can the magnification is so much that you can see the hyphae in that. Many institutions do not have it. It's a very expensive equipment, but you must know about it. It's available. And then, of course, there is polymerase chain reaction. You can, for PCR, you can send it for PCR, but these are not done. These are all mostly theoretical. They can be done, but the most important is KOH and gram stain and the culture. These two are the most often used and most practical in even in small hospitals, small setups. Now the treatment, you use specific antifungal drops. Natamycin, 5% eye drops, fluconazole drops are available, amphotericin B, you can use miconazole, and the most commonly, I'll tell you, of all these, what most commonly we use is the first one, that is natamycin, and then most commonly we use is voriconazole drops, and then you may use nystatin ointment. But the others are also, you can know for theory point of view, but practically these are the two that we use. And then you can even inject voriconazole intrastomally into the cornea. You can inject voriconazole. We normally do not do that unless it's a very severe ulcer, and intracamerally also very rarely done. But this is what I'm saying, that theoretically all these things are written, but practically what we do only in a class you will get to know, or when you are posted in. And we also give, along with this treatment, we give a supportive antibiotic treatment, not very frequently, but we give it as a coverage. Now systemically also we give antifungal agents. Like a tablet fluconazole or ketoconazole, we give it for at least 2 to 3 weeks. It's very important because the site may be threatened because of the ulcer. Now, non-specific, that this was a specific treatment. Now, the non-specific treatment can be cycloplegic drugs, which are like, for every ulcer we give either atropine eye ointment 1%, or we give home atropine drops. And about atropine, I would like to tell you here that atropine ointment is used always. We do not use drops, because drops get absorbed very quickly into the system, and they can produce, non-sweating, and they can produce their effects in which the person may start having fever and systemic symptoms. So we use ointment. And that also we tell the patient, because India is a very warm country, 9 months we have got high temperatures. So, and the patient is going out into the sun, we always tell them to use the eye ointment at night. And then home atropine, of course, atropine now, atropine starts, once you have instilled atropine into the eye, the effect of the pupil dilatation stays for about 3 weeks. So it should not be, whenever it is used, you have to tell the patient ki paas ka kam dikhega, even home atropine. He will not be able to accommodate for near, so he doesn't panic. And then NSAIDs can be used, vitamin A, B, C, and vitamin C is very important for the healing. Now, physical measures like hot compresses. Hot compresses may be used. Patient can use dark goggles, because the dilated pupil in the bright sunlight will be very disturbing. And then the patient can rest, have good diet, and good diet, rest, good diet, fresh air is common to every disease. So therapeutic now, okay. Now the next point is, suppose the patient is not responding to treatment. You may give all kinds of antifungals, but the patient is not responding. Then what you have to then do is what is called a therapeutic penetrating keratoplasty. In this, Okay, these are various ulcers and the surgical. So the other surgical treatments are daily debridement, every 24 to 48 hours. When you scrape the ulcer, that is also called debridement. Like in surgery, you debride the wound. Here also you can remove the superficial exudates, and when you do that, what you are doing is you are reducing the load on the cornea, the infective load on the cornea. So this may be done every 24 to 48 hours. And now the next is that is therapeutic keratoplasty. It may have to be done in approximately 1/3 the cases of fungal keratitis. What we do is we replace the cornea with a fresh cadaver cornea. Keratoplasty is always done. The eye donation is done always by a dead person. Always the eye is taken from a dead person, never from an alive. There is no alive donors, and it should be done. The cornea should be taken within 6 to 8 hours of death, and that is there's a class on that itself. But here I just want to mention that here now when you place this in this infected, inflamed eye, you have removed the diseased cornea, the part that is affected, and you go a little more beyond it also. But most of the time when you put the the new fresh cornea, because the eye is so inflamed, it may not stay transparent, but at least you have got rid of the infection, and then this eye that you have now got, it may have a scar, which later on an optical keratoplasty can be done for that eye. So surgical is usually indicated within 4 weeks due to failure of medical treatment. And like I said, unfavorable outcome may be due to scleritis. When there is a fungal infection, there may be associated scleritis. There may be endophthalmitis. This infection, the hyphae, they go deep into the cornea and deep into the anterior chamber and may go into the eye, the vitreous. Vitreous is a very good culture medium for fungus. So there may be endophthalmitis also. And then these are other things which are a little beyond your capacity, but I'll just say because cryotherapy can be done along with antifungal treatment, or the graft may have to be very large, which is called a corneoscleral graft. Instead of just a small corneal graft, if it is spreading up to the edge, you can do a corneoscleral graft. Again, these are just possibilities that you have to do. So now we come to an end of this. This was a short topic, and thank you for listening. So I already mentioned how you can avoid negative thoughts. One negative thought and it takes you down a spiral. So don't start having negative thoughts. Okay, now you